This is Rating Descending,
where we watch IMDb's Worst 250 so you don't have to.
My name is Abigail Ward.
And I'm Michelle St. Clair.
And this week we watched Singularity, Earth 2020. 3/4 of its households have a robot. The AI supercomputer Cronus considers humans the biggest threat to Earth. A century later, few humans are left. Kalia seeks the last human stronghold, as does Cronus. Let's watch.
Listen, it's important periodically, I think, to remind listeners that we don't write the taglines.
No.
They come from IMDb.
Yeah. Wow, Michelle, we're living through such a beautiful month of film history.
Oh, thank God, because I was going to say, in no part of this moment in world history would I describe it as beautiful.
Only in terms of cinematic world history. We've got the Barbenheimer shaking hands marketing ploy, and it's pulled us all in.
Yeah, I mean, it has led to literally one of the biggest opening weekends in film history.
Yeah.
Like Barbie already, I think, was like the 26th biggest opening in film history, but it's one of only 4 times that 2 movies have opened above 80 million. And it's the only time that neither of them are sequels.
Didn't Mission Impossible also open over 80 million?
No. And also it opened the week before.
Oh, because I was looking at some stats, and actually
up.
People did say that it made its budget was higher than both Barbie and Oppenheimer. Its budget was stupid. It was like 300 million.
Jesus.
But then I think it made back 400 and something million.
Ooh, that's not great.
Yeah, it's not good as a return in considering how much they spent. But technically they did make just as much as Barbie and Oppenheimer, but it's just a shit return.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I haven't seen Oppenheimer yet. What did you think of it?
Oppenheimer was great. Now, obviously, it's important to clarify because we are in the media sphere, but we are not in Australia. That is why we are allowed to, despite being union members, not talk about and this is technically promoting movies.
Yes.
If we were movie stars,
Yes.
we're not American. We're not union breaking.
We only promote bad movies here. So
well, right now we're talking about Barbie and Oppenheimer.
I know.
Oh, yeah,
So
they were terrible.
No, I'm just saying that we're really like not in our comfort zone.
Oh yeah.
This is not what we do.
Yeah, this is just our own fucking opinion. I really liked Oppenheimer. I understand some of the critiques of it, especially in regards to like the first hour. I've heard it alternately described as boring and also like blitzy because it kind of skims through things.
Right.
I feel like that's not a fault of it. It feels like that's necessary to make the impact of like the Trinity test and the back half of the back 2/3 of the movie work as well as it does.
Yeah.
It feels like one of those like, yeah, in the moment, this might not feel as what you want it to, but by the end, that works to a greater whole. And I think part of it comes from the trend of people recently making up their opinion about a movie before it's done.
Right.
You know, because I think really like as part of its greater whole, a lot of the faults I was like, these all kind of work together. Even if like in sequence, I was like, oh, that was quite fast. Oh yeah, now I get it. Yeah, now just watch the whole thing. It's great.
See,
I really enjoyed it.
I'm excited to see it. I will go see it. The only thing I can't stop thinking about is this meme I saw online of someone saying like, Oppenheimer being like, this is how Oppenheimer reacted when his atomic bomb was acted like an atomic bomb and was used as an atomic bomb, and it's like him crying.
That there's an in-movie moment that is basically someone else pointing that out to him.
Yeah, like what did you expect? What did you think you were making, dude?
Exactly. My only qualm when I see memes like that is when they're positioned as if they're being clever and outsmarting the movie. It's like, that's what the movie's about. The movie is about people pointing that out to Oppenheimer, not about him feeling bad about it.
What I have seen, it was Barbie, and Barbie was so much funnier than I thought it was going to be.
Good.
It was so good.
Yeah. It was more surreal than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, but this is the thing. This is what I don't get. I feel like a lot of the discourse around Barbie is, and I keep thinking about something you said, Michelle, because it's true. I keep thinking about all the stuff I see online of women being like, when you think you're going to just see a fun film and then it makes you like cry and hits you right in the feels and makes you think about so and so and so. You said when you saw it, you were like, I don't get either why people are so emotional over this film because it's Feminism 101. And it really is. It's not saying anything controversial or anything new or unique or refreshing. It's literally saying the plight of women is fucking hard.
Yeah.
And expressing what we have all thought for the last 50 years about women having a purpose, being in the workplace, not just being there to be pretty, being allowed to be weird, being allowed to be angry. That's Feminism 101. And so for me, walking into the film, I wasn't really taken by the emotional elements of it because I feel like I was a bit like, yeah, I get it. Well, but the funniness of it, the actual surreal elements and the humor, and Ryan Gosling in particular just really stole the show. I didn't expect it to be so fucking funny, and I haven't stopped. I cannot stop thinking about some of the jokes in it.
It really is like a comedy at heart, and like the emotional parts of it did hit me, because a lot of the more emotional parts are more about like the fundamental nature of choosing to be a human being and being alive and stuff. That stuff I liked. The Feminism 101 parts, I'm like, this is a big studio movie. There is a segment of the audience that doesn't know this, and this is good for them.
And
not
also,
every movie has to be advanced level.
Also, let's just be realistic as well. Like, and this is something I appreciate about the film, is that Mattel seems to have financed it.
Yeah.
But it's also making fun of Mattel.
Yeah.
But it is a studio film, and I think there's only so far that Greta Gerwig could push things as well. So I also just wouldn't be surprised if she wanted to take it further and they were like, whoa, those are big ideas for this film. Why don't you reel it back in?
Hey, look, she's also someone who wants to be a big studio filmmaker. I think there's also some like internal like, I know what I can get away with in a studio movie. I don't even need to push for this because I know how to put this in there, and don't go over there.
Also, just not a spoiler, but the fact that Ken basically thinks that the patriarchy is horses is the funniest joke in the whole thing. There's that line at the end where he's like, you know, once I realized that it wasn't actually about horses, I wasn't that interested in it anyway. That I keep thinking about that.
I keep finding the funniest joke being the way that Push by Matchbox 20 is used in lieu, especially of Wonderwall.
Push you around.
But it's also, you know what's so particularly funny about it is, my mum was obsessed with Matchbox 20, so I've heard so much of their music. Yeah.
So was I. We talked about this.
When I was a young kid, I had the same haircut as that era of Rob Thomas. Yeah. But that song is such a funny song to put, because it, on the surface level, like the lyrics, I want to push you around, I want to push you down, you know.
Yeah.
Like, it was critiqued for being sexist as a song, which makes sense. Rob Thomas clarified that it's actually about his own abusive relationship where she was abusing him.
Yeah.
But it's not a thing that people then thought from that statement where it's from her POV of abusing him. It's actually still from his POV, having been abused, going like, you get away with this, I want to do it too. Like, I'm outletting my frustration. You know, you push me, I want to push you back and stuff. And it's like, that's a really weird, misguided, specific, and like that's what Ken does in the movie.
That's what he does. He's like, you know what? If you're gonna treat me like this, I'm gonna treat you like this.
It's incredible how perfect a choice. It's like Ben Affleck in Gone Girl, and then this as like, how did you metatextually so perfectly put that in there?
That's amazing. I have like spent all week like walking around the house just singing, my name's Ken and I'm enough. And I'm great at doing stuff.
That whole sequence is so good.
It's just, anyway, I was delighted by it. Really, really was. Didn't think it was going to be as funny as it was. But for some reason, the thing for me that doesn't resonate is just... this is one of Abby's bad takes, by the way. Just to get you all excited. I just feel like the whole thing of like this is what being alive is all about. It's the human experience, you know, it's pain and laughter and blah blah blah. I feel like that often we make so many films about the human experience, but it's in all of its vagaries. Like, it's not like this is a specific part. It's and I think this really works for Barbie. Don't get me wrong. I'm not critiquing Barbie. I'm just critiquing this trope of
discussing the human experience.
Yeah, but in vagaries. Instead of being like, it's about like this part of human experience, it's literally like, this is what it is to be human. It's to be angry and scared and sad. And it's just saying like, okay, I get it. Like, being human is to have emotions, but that is used as a revelation in so many, particularly sci-fi things. And it almost makes me laugh every time I hear it. I'm like, I get it.
I mean, I don't know if you've seen what both Anglo culture and capitalism wants out of people, but it's not to have emotions.
Yeah, it is done. It is very much done. And obviously she's a Barbie. She wants to feel things. She's from Barbie Land. You don't get to feel things in Barbie Land. It makes a lot of sense for this movie. But again, just the trope of like, I want to have the human experience of feeling things. I'm like, you don't want this shit, bitch. It's horrible. No, you don't. Stay in your happy little land. Like, fuck off.
Abby's bad take is that the human experience should have less emotions. We don't need to see it portrayed this way on screen.
No, we just don't need to glorify it. We really don't. It's not a good time.
That's why Pixar was so good, you know? We're not glorifying the human experience. It's fish also have feelings. What if feelings had feelings, you know? It's not about people. Fuck off.
Speaking of fuck off, this week we watched Singularity.
John Cusack, not a Kevin Costner movie. I gave you bad intel at the end of the last
you
episode.
did.
That was my fault.
Bad intel. That's right. And look, I don't really like John Cusack that much, so he's kind of on the same level for me as Kevin Costner.
I liked him before I watched any of his later career. You know, like him in younger movies like Better Off Dead, High Fidelity. Like he's a charming young actor.
And he plays Gordy's older brother in Stand By Me for like that whole one scene.
He does, yeah.
And he's really charming in it, but as an older actor, like it's a misery to watch him.
You're watching someone who clearly gave up.
Yeah.
Yeah, talking about the flattening of the human experience. This is someone who could maybe benefit from remembering what smiling and being angry is like.
I've just realized we're currently recording on Michelle's couch, and the only issue with it is that her beautiful little cat is walking right by my head, and it's so hard to pay attention right now. I'm just looking at her little soft little belly. Should I touch it? Yeah. The flattening of the human experience
is manifested in John Cusack.
This is such a weird film.
It is. It's, you know what I think is the weirdest part about this film? It is at once it's one of the most generic movies I've ever seen, right? It feels like a parody movie that took out all the jokes in that it is so generic. And at the same time is repeatedly like way weirder than it has any right to be for being that generic. But it is 100% committed to making the least interesting version of each of those interesting things.
I mean, look, I feel like I should just get this out of the way.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it's my only piece of trivia.
Okay. Sure. So you have one piece of trivia. We're still going to do the segment later, but you're going to tell the trivia now, like 12, 13 minutes in.
And when we do the trivia section, you still have to act like surprised and shocked, like, oh my God, that's fucking crazy.
You're going to say it again. So the audience also at home, so listeners at home, you'll have to play along with me and act surprised later when we hear this piece of trivia again.
Please, it's going to blow your mind. But I feel like it's just good to get out of the way. And I also I don't know about you, but sometimes even when it's your film and I'm not meant to look anything up about it, I sometimes will still Wikipedia it because I want to understand that I'm following the plot.
Yeah,
like
I've
I read the plot. Yeah, and so if you've looked up this film for that reason, I wouldn't be surprised if you've already seen this listed on the Wikipedia.
This wasn't complex enough for me to need to look up. There's not really much of anything that goes on.
It's not about complexity, Michelle. All right, it's about like effective cinema communication, like knowing what's actually happening.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the problem.
It certainly didn't communicate what was happening to me through the art of cinema.
I'm not losing the plot because of the intricacy of the plot, okay? That's not the issue.
It's blowing my mind right now.
So this film was written and directed by Robert Kuber.
Okay.
And I think this was his first and probably last feature film he ever made. He does not have a Wikipedia page.
So unsurprising.
Yeah. He first shot this film in 2013.
What?
With the young boy Andrew, who plays the lead, the young girl Kalia, and the bald guy with the weird melted face.
Yeah.
But John Cusack wasn't in it, nor was his story part of it.
Is that why all of his bits are just in a room?
Yeah, because 4 years later, 3 or 4 years later, they reassessed it and put him in because they needed the star power. And he's just in his own room and talking to the older bald guy played by Carmen Argenziano. I've butchered that. But But yeah, they just added in all those scenes later. And I'll just give everyone a quick overview so that you can just understand what that all means.
We're officially in the key details now, right?
That was it. That was all the key details I could give you.
Well, wait, what year did it come out again?
2017.
2017.
And actually, it was 3.8 stars on the list when we locked it. And now it's 3.6. Like, it's actually a lot of the time we come back and for some reason they've gone up 1 or 2 points. But this is like the first one I've encountered where it's actually gone down in the last 2 years. But that's all the key details I can give you because there's not much information to be found about this amateur piece of work.
Great. Yeah, that explains the real like student film vibes. This is someone who like shot something with 3 people and then I guess, oh, you know what? I bet he's one of those fucking guys. There was one right before I started teaching. He had just graduated, so people were showing it to me. He'd spent $50,000 of his own money on doing VFX for his short, and they were really great to put this UFO in it and stuff. Like, this happens periodically where like someone will know just enough about VFX and have access to cash, and so they'll like by brute force make their sci-fi movie with almost no one except for VFX.
But how did they get John Cusack on board? That's my question.
It's gotta be he finished the movie and handed it to a distributor and someone went, if we can put someone in it, we can make just enough return on it. So we'll get a late career John Cusack fucking box office draw.
It really was like 4 actors.
Yeah.
Maybe 5 if you count Andrew's mum.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe 6 if you count the bus driver at the beginning. Let me just do the overview
sure.
that people can understand what the fuck we're talking about. It's not a great overview, but it's not a great film, so I don't feel bad about it. Elias Van Dorn owns an evil tech company. It was called, what, VA Industries?
Yeah.
That annihilates the human race in 2020. That's the opening.
Yeah.
All right?
It then goes 97 years later.
97 years later.
Incredible choice.
A young boy, Andrew, wakes up in the forest. And by the way, Andrew, we see him back in 2020. He's a young boy with a dying mum, and we assume he's killed because he is killed. We assume because he is. Andrew wakes up in the forest 97 years later, and we immediately discover, not a reveal, that he is a robot created by VA Industries, and he's disguised as a human.
Yeah.
Andrew encounters a young girl called Kalia, who is looking for a human stronghold up north called Aurora. With Elias watching, like literally standing in an empty room, just always watching, because that was all the B footage they got of John Cusack walking around a room.
He's in a fake skyscraper looking out over a city that is actually just a white room and constantly just giving the most bored ruminations I've ever heard.
Yeah. And they head north to find Aurora to survive their dystopian future. Kalia finds out Andrew is a robot and tries to leave, but she discovers his romantic feelings for her have made him more human than robot. They ended up finding a fucking portal to the new utopian planet Aurora with Elias pursuing them for a new fight, and that's where it ends.
I can see how watching this has made you come in with this energy for Barbie. Like, also, to clarify on the ending...
I swear it wasn't linked to that.
I think emotionally it was. You watch this movie, try to go like, it's worth it being a human.
It's great to be alive.
It's love. It's being a person. And you were like, yeah, you know what? Fuck Barbie.
Yeah. I'm alive and it fucking sucks. It's shit. I'm on drugs to make me feel less, all right? It's not a good thing.
Yeah.
I cried all the time.
Yeah, I cry all the time.
Same bitch.
Hell yeah.
Give me some skin. Yeah.
Maybe high five. We're sitting closer this time. Yeah. Also, I hate how sometimes we just, because of the nature of the overview, skip to the ending. But I do want to say with the ending, they're looking for Aurora. We think it's a city. There's a bit, she like looks through the Aurora Borealis and sees like a light. And I think, oh, they're doing a space thing. No, it's like a city on a mountain.
Yeah, which they did not make clear because I was also like, has she figured out it's a planet? Whoa, what's going to happen?
Like a space station
and
or something.
And then they run up to a fort later and you're like, what the fuck?
No, but then it's revealed that it is a space thing. They show a solar system, but I don't know if it's that one because then when they get in the ship, it goes through hyperspace.
It does. They're going through like a vortex, you know? It's like the Doctor Who theme song.
A full like planet, like not like it's Mars and there's a colony or a space station. Like
It's a full. I thought it was Earth.
Yeah, it looks
I
like
was
Earth,
like-
but from the other side. You know,
I was like, oh, is the reveal that they weren't on Earth in the first place, and now it's like a Battlestar Galactica thing of
Yeah.
like Earth is to come, and this was the civilization beforehand. I really was like,
this already
are they ripping
feels
it off?
so much like the Caprica storyline of season 1 of Battlestar.
Yeah,
but mashed together with Hunger Games.
But it wasn't. It was just
It
a
wasn't.
planet that looked very much like Earth.
And she's then giving her like fucking voiceover wrap up ending because John Cusack is like, now we'll fuck them off. Because now I know where they are. And they're like, yeah, but now we can fight back. And there's like a fleet of presumably like battleships, like war spaceships flying away from. I'm like, how advanced are these people?
Yeah.
They left
How long have
people
they
on
gone?
Earth. That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Also,
When did this happen?
again, like we don't get to see any individual people. They are just battleships on the horizon of like, we're saved, we've made it, because they do not have the budget to include one more actor. They've hit it. They've hit the limit.
They couldn't even have like a set, like a like the door opens and there's like a smiling person like, welcome home. That would have been great.
Hi, honey.
Oh, it's like the mum?
Yeah. Welcome
That wouldn't
home.
make any sense, but this movie would do it.
Mom, you made it out. Well, he didn't. Did he make it home that night? Does he know she died?
It was 97 years. She died.
Maybe she
Of
made
old
it
age,
off.
if nothing else.
Maybe she made it up, and then she was cryogenically frozen like eggs.
That's crazy. Why?
Because it could be done. Look, I don't think it's that crazy for this movie, all right? They can make anything they want happen.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I just
You're right.
don't criticize me.
To be fair, they did go from like people have a robot to like fully the robots are taking over everyone in universe in 3 years.
Well, actually, to quote the tagline for this film in IMDb, 3/4 of its households have a robot. Just so
Yes.
that you understand.
Okay. I love when this happens, but I also hate it because I know I'm not going to get a good answer, right?
Okay.
Because this is the dynamic that works the least for finding information, which is that I'm going to ask you what happened to clarify what the fuck went on.
Lay it on me.
So, okay, John Cusack is in the room. And
Wait.
Okay.
Go slower.
John Cusack is in the city room like in 2020, and then he's talking to his brother, his living human being brother, and he's like, I'm going to start Kronos. And the brother's like, no, what?
Don't
Oh
do
my God,
it.
don't do that.
Oh. Yeah.
And then he's like, no, I am going to do it. So he shoots him? Or no, he just does it. He does Kronos, whatever. He does Kronos, but his brother dies.
He doesn't shoot his brother, but he brings him into the room.
Yeah.
Oh, he comes back, and his brother notices that he's basically... Do you remember how he looks at his brother, at
Yeah.
John Cusack, and he's kind of disappearing a
Yeah.
little bit? My understanding was that when he went in there to talk to Kronos overtook him.
Oh.
And then when he came back out, it overtook his brother and like basically melded into his brother. Like that's what I assumed was happening.
Because that's what confused me. Because what I was going to say is then at the end, we know by this point that they're virtual.
Yeah.
It was revealed quite poorly, but now we understand that they're both virtual people, except the brother can also appear in the real world, but as like a hologram
And
or
that
something.
doesn't make sense because they had to make that work because the guy was obviously in the initial shooting in
Yeah.
2013. And they had to make it work with the shooting that he did in 2017 with
Yeah.
John Cusack. That bit is bizarre,
It's
and I
very
don't think there's
strange.
anything I could say that would explain
Cool.
that to you. But I'm pretty sure he and John Cusack, my understanding of it was that they were consumed by Kronos as soon as it began.
Wait, both of them were? Because I thought I thought it was that the brother was Kronos. And also his brother, and that's why. But John Cusack was still John Cusack, and that's why at the end he's like, "I'm gonna turn you off."
No, because remember when he comes back out of the room and he's disappearing on him?
Yeah,
Like, I assume that meant he was already now an apparition, like his body had been.
Oh, I thought that meant they were already in the virtual world, and he'd like uploaded himself there.
Dude,
What? You know what? I hate exposition, but
this
this
film
needs
had
a
plenty
little
of it,
more.
and it still didn't make sense,
Yeah.
to be honest.
Yeah, that's true.
You're right, maybe he was already there. I took that to mean that he had come back and he was basically consumed by Kronos.
But he's in the city room that we know is like
White.
digital.
Yes,
So
yeah.
I thought it was like he's like, I uploaded my consciousness into the thing, and then Kronos was his brother, sort of. Because that's what I thought the ending was, where he turns off his brother.
Well, he leads his brother into that, like, suddenly they're in that white room, and then his brother starts screaming. 'Cause
Yeah.
he's like, "Ah!" and then his face starts melting and he gets a weird eye.
Yeah, but then because later his head glows and he talks like a robot.
Yeah.
That's why I thought he was Kronos, is because he glows and looks like a...
I don't think he's Kronos.
Why does he talk like a robot and his head glows? Okay, sure.
I don't know,
Sure.
but I don't think he's Kronos. I don't think he is.
I think in the original script, he's Kronos.
Maybe. If only we could pick the brains of the elusive Robert Cooper. Let's get him to Cooper.
Hey, Cooper!
Hey, Cooper.
Okay,
Does
cool.
laying babes count? No. Cooper.
I got as much clarity. Thank you for the community reference. I got as much clarity from that as I expected to get.
Hey, I actually for once don't think it was my fault.
No, I don't think it was. I don't think it ever is your fault.
Okay.
These movies are confusing. I didn't get it. I did pay attention.
Same.
I wasn't blowing it off. I was paying attention and I was like, I do not understand what's going on with this.
I mean, let's talk about the two young leads,
Well, yeah,
Andrew and Kalia, because they were like absolute no ones. They don't have wiki pages. I couldn't find much on them.
Like a police sketch of teens in a post-apocalyptic movie.
Yeah.
You know, like they are both exactly what you show to a casting director to go, someone like this.
She's got long hair and it's in a plait, but it's never...
She's dressed like Katniss. She's got a braid and boots
with
and
a
brown
heel.
leather jacket and a bow and arrow.
Yeah.
She's fully Katniss.
She is. She's a Katniss ripoff.
And he's one of the guys from Divergent, I think, because they all wear like grey fucking t-shirts and that.
But those kids could not act like at all.
Yeah.
Like they
could not.
Nah. And it was actually really interesting watching John Cusack and the guy that played either his brother or Kronos or whatever the fuck it was.
Or both.
Because they are like industry, like they've been in the industry for a long time. And even though it's a shit film, they still, you know, they weren't too bad. It didn't feel as...
You would describe John Cusack as not too bad in this?
Well, these kids were just so wooden. They were really bad. Really bad.
John Cusack is delivering every line like he's reading off a menu. Like,
and yet...
I've never heard him care about something less.
The acting chops on that man.
He sounds like he's making small talk at a party he doesn't want to be at. He is throwing away every line.
I'm just trying to find a silver lining, Michelle. I'm just trying to find something good to focus on.
But you're right. But the kids are particularly awful. She, at one point, it's my favorite part of the movie. It's one of those classic shots of where, like, she gets up to leave him. And then he's like, wait, you know, stop. And we see her and she, like, kind of, as if she's jimmying the camera, does like a... like a rolling the eyes. There's that fucking girl on TikTok who does the like the indie girl who the boy is obsessed with or whatever. She looks like that girl and acts like her.
Fully agree. What the first scene, she saves him. He's in that town. He's just woken up. And she saves him. And that scene's really badly blocked because there's this big robot walking at him down an alley. And she runs and basically just pushes him to the ground.
Yeah, that's right.
And like doesn't get him out of the way. It's not like she grabs him and yanks him behind a wall or tackles him to get him out of sight. She just pushes him onto the ground and throws this big cube that looks like it's a bomb.
Yeah.
And it blows up. And
but what if bomb was cube, huh?
Yeah,
Sci-fi.
True. And then she gets up, dusts herself off, goes into this like general goods store to grab something. And she turns around and she was like, that was my last bomb. And then I was like, all I could think of was that girl on TikTok. Yeah. And then, yeah, you're right. She looked like her.
Yeah.
Looked like her so much. But she did have that vibe. Everything was like a quip at first, you know, like, I'm not easy to get to know. You're going to have to earn my trust.
Yeah. That's what like every line is ripped from those TikToks. Like, and he conversely is like an adult baby.
He barely says anything. I'm like, what is she falling in love with? Like he said like 2 lines to her the whole time.
But he looks confused and baffled the entire time.
Yeah. He gives nothing. And that bit where there's this bit later where they get captured by this group of humans that aren't, but they also have like robot-y eyes. Do you remember that bit where they find that group of humans and that girl looks at them and she's got like metallic eyes? Yeah. Which indicates that they're not human?
Yeah.
I thought
that's what it was, is that she's a robot and that's why he was... But he was like, no. But he doesn't know that he's a robot at that point.
He doesn't know he's a robot. He's about to find out.
He's about to find out because he punches the shit out of someone.
Well, here's the thing. They get him. They flee from these humans, but they capture Andrew and Kalia, the girl, gets away and they tie him around this tree. And so he's sitting on his bottom with his legs spread out in front of him, and he's got
really
like
funny.
6 layers of thick beige rope like tied around his waist, but it looks so slack, as if he seems like he could freely move his arms and he could like wiggle fully out of it, but he doesn't. And then when Kalia comes back to rescue him, she's like ambushed, and I think they're like, it's like this weird bit where it almost looks like it's gonna be rapey, like they're like kind of like pulling her shirt off and she's screaming no no no, and he like rages out and like snaps the ropes off and gets up and like beats the shit out of them. And he's like looking at his hands in terror, like he's a big baby.
But then while he's confused, the guy with the beret slashes him with a with the longest machete I've ever seen, and he just like falls over.
He does. He falls onto his stomach and his legs are a bit bent and buckled, and it reminds me of the way, so Michelle went to a party a few weeks ago and got Michelle.
Yeah, I know. I went,
I thought you were going like, I thought I was telling a story about someone else. That's how it sounded to me. You went to a party, you got obliterated, you got drunk, and Gaiden told me that you passed out in his room.
Honored friend of the podcast, Gaiden.
Passed out in his room in that exact position that guy seemed to fall into in the film. Yeah. It was kind of like on your stomach, passed out with your legs together, like a little bit bent upwards.
Oh my god! And the guy with the beret who has the machete sword, he does look like he's like, as if this is his kid's drama project, and he's the dad who's like stepping in. Like he just gives like a growl.
Yeah.
Can you answer me one other thing about this production?
Oh, I don't know.
Is it American?
It's American and it's Swiss.
Swiss, because I was gonna say, if you tell me like every key creative and actor is Argentinian, I would believe you.
Yeah, it's American and Swiss, and all of the wood scenes, most of it was shot in Czechia.
Oh,
yeah,
that explains a lot. Actually, they're like wet, dark woods.
Yeah. It does look European. There's actually some really beautiful shots that they use to go from one scene to another, and it's like beautiful rugged mountains, and I was like, that is not America. Also, that looks so European.
Also, everybody except for John Cusack kept not quite making up their mind on whether they had an American accent or a vague accent they were trying to suppress enough that it was vague. Also, Swiss is so hard to pick because you're like, do they sound French or German or maybe Italian? And it's like, it's sort of all three.
Yeah. And
it's
also,
hard to pick.
I think that the city scenes it was confusing as well because all of the scenes in the forest look so European, but all of the scenes in the city looked so American. Like it kind of, I thought it was beginning in like New York. That's what it kind of looked like to me, you know?
I think it's trying to make you think it's North America.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it's not.
You know, every Swiss person I've ever met, and I've met, I think, legit 4 Swiss people.
Yeah.
Every single one has done the same bit where they go like, oh, guess where I'm from? Like, based on their accent. And I'm like, every time the same thing happens. I'm like, French? And they're like, haha, no. And I'm like, German? And they're like, haha, no. Do you want to know? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, Swiss. And I'm like, well, so I fucking got it. I said French and German.
Basically both.
Come on, give me a break here. Leave me alone.
Those fickle fucking Swiss.
Yeah, you want a fucking medal? I'm from a small country too.
Australia?
I mean, it's bigger than Switzerland.
Definitely bigger than Switzerland.
Yeah. But I mean, like, people don't care about it or remember it very much.
Yeah, I mean, you're not talking geographically here. You're talking.
No, I'm not talking. I'm talking in terms of population and global importance. You know, you go to America and they're like, "Are you English?" And I'm like, "No,
But I basically could be too.
Yeah.
Why not? Sure.
You know what? You're closer than anyone else.
When I went to England, everyone thought I was English, and when I went to America, everyone thought I was English.
Yeah, because
no one understands the Australian accent.
Because they're expecting it to be like full-on Ocker Bogan out in the desert sort of accent, and that's not what most Australians sound like.
Yeah,
and so they're just like confused. They're like, well, there's plenty of English accents. Perhaps you're one of them.
What would I feel like the Australian accent, like I can't even think what English accent it would even be close to. I guess Cockney, maybe. No, I just don't understand. Like, what part of England do they think I come from?
Oh, one of the bits. One of the regions. Probably like the south.
The backwoods of Cornwall.
They probably think you're southern more than northern.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Yeah.
Dude, just think
maybe
about
Kent.
northern accents. Look, this is a tangent, but also, I mean, there's not much to talk about with this film. Let's be realistic. For some reason, Claude really wanted to watch the Hobbit series, and so we've started watching
Sure. I've made that mistake too.
Yeah. Look, it's not great.
It's not.
Did you finish it? Because I didn't.
I don't think I finished the third one. I couldn't do it because you keep wanting it to be better, and then it keeps Not getting better?
Look, it's a good time. Like, it's a good adventure. It's a good thrill. And if you're really in the mood for the world, you can throw yourself into it. If you're so hungry for Middle Earth, it's a great foray into Middle Earth. You get to see all the same things that you saw. Yeah, Legolas is wearing weird contacts, but at least you get to see Lothlorien and Rivendell. And, you know, you get to see the world and the atmosphere. But fuck yeah, they're not great.
Yeah.
But don't you think Richard Armitage playing Thorin is just doing a Sean Bean Sheffield accent?
Absolutely.
It's like a replica of Boromir's accent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
For sure.
Thank you.
And I get why as well. You know, I actually think it's a good choice, but he's fully doing it. In the same way, you haven't seen Oppenheimer yet. I'm going to ruin it for you and every listener who hasn't seen it, because I saw this in a video and then I shared it with honored friend of the podcast, Gaten Souza, and it ruined his second viewing of it. Cillian Murphy is fully doing a low-key Robin Williams impression as Oppenheimer. Watch the fucking trailer of it again. Listen to any, you know, like
about?
the low, like, here I am doing da da da, like that level of Robin Williams, but without the high bits, you know. If you take out all of those, that's Cillian Murphy
So you
doing
just mean,
Oppenheimer.
like, in terms of his voice, he's doing a Robin Williams?
Yes.
Oh my God, you are going to ruin it for me. Like, it's all I'll think about.
You're going to watch it, he's going to open his mouth and you're going to go, fuck.
You've got two. Okay, with Barbie,
Check out
all
this
I
bomb,
could think
huh?
about was Feminism 101, and now all I'm going to think about with Oppenheimer is Robin Williams' impression. Thanks, Michelle. Thanks for that. Anyway, this film blew. Is there anything else you want to talk about with it?
Yeah, there was one fucking bit that really got me. I don't know why. It's because he gets slashed. She takes him somewhere and they find like a barn with like a shitload of hay in it, which is crazy.
He won't let her look at the wound. They don't look at it for ages until she wakes up later. I'm like, why can't we see the wound?
Yeah. It's weird because he hasn't seen it yet, so he's not hiding it.
He's not checking it out.
Yeah.
He
But
fully got slashed in this chest with a machete, and he's like, "No, it's chill."
they find a shit ton of hay, which actually doesn't make sense because it doesn't seem like anyone's farming, and it's been 97 years. Why has nothing eaten that hay, or it hasn't degraded? Like, that's fucking hay.
Does hay degrade?
It's dried out husk. It would rot in 97 years.
Would it rot? I don't know much about hay when I come to think
it's
about it.
a pretty wet region. Fully something would eat it, you know?
You're right, because it would rain on the hay because it's out, it's exposed.
Yeah.
And then it would turn into mulch. Look, I don't know anything about hay. I think I said that.
It's fine. It's fine.
Michelle, I
That's not the important-
literally said that.
He lays on top of it, and then that's when it's like clearly like the script is opining towards his chest, and we're like, oh, we're gonna get the reveal. And the way he's laying on it with like his neck surprisingly far forward, I'm like, oh, they're doing the classic low budget old school thing of you put a guy on top of a soft thing or on top of like a wooden platform or whatever, so that his head can come up separately and the rest of it is like a dummy wearing his clothes. It's a great trick used. I think Sam Raimi uses it in Evil Dead. Like, it's a great trick. And then he reveals his chest, and it's like clearly just like this rubbery sort of painted gray thing to look like metal thing that's clearly like stuck on, and I'm like, oh, they didn't do that.
No,
It just looks very surface level and bad.
Yeah, he looks weirdly positioned.
They could have done something more interesting. You had it right there. You had the whole thing.
You could have done something more interesting is probably the tagline that I would choose for this film.
Again, it is this movie has a complete commitment to telling the least interesting version of this story.
Also, we didn't bring up, but obviously John Cusack's come back for, movie number 2 on this list because he was from Cell.
Oh, yeah. He was in Cell. No one else was in anything
else.
He's now a returning actor.
Wow. Yeah, the back end of his career just wasn't great, was it?
I don't know what it is, man.
I'm so indifferent to John Cusack, but I'm so there for Joan Cusack.
Oh my God, absolutely.
Yeah, she's wonderful. She's
Yeah.
got a whole better vibe going on for me.
Yeah, I love Joan Cusack. I loved her in School of Rock, and I was like, I'm hooked, baby. Show me more.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
I love her weird little lisp
Yeah.
that she's got going on.
Also, unrelated to Joan Cusack, but related to John Cusack, 100% some of the wide shots in this are stock footage.
Yeah.
Absolutely, right? Like,
You can tell all of this was like, it's as if like this film was an open wound and then they were just slapping band-aids everywhere, just trying to make it work as a story.
I've worked on low budget things. Many of them use more stock footage than you'd expect.
Yeah.
100% they didn't get these wide shots.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Did you want to hear some trivia?
Oh my God, I'd love to be surprised by the
You're
trivia.
gonna be shocked
my
and delighted.
God.
Singularity began as a low-budget sci-fi film called Aurora, which was shot in 2013 in the Czech Republic and Switzerland. John Cusack was not involved in the original shoot. Years later, scenes with Cusack interacting only with Argenziano were shot and inserted into the new production, and extensive CGI effects were used to tie the new material to the original film.
What? I am surprised. Color me surprised. Jeez, well, I mean, you may as well call me Harry Belafonte because I believe you.
Do you want to have some reviews? This is not going to be a long episode, guys. I don't have much for you.
Reviews!
This film has, that's why I couldn't grab it. It has no critic score on Rotten Tomatoes.
Wow.
But the audience score is 44%, which is higher than I would expect.
I mean, but if you get your friends and family to review, you know.
Yeah. Jason Porodsky from the Prague Reporter gave a negative review, shocker, criticizing production values, continuity errors, and the film's thoroughly unconvincing narrative, adding that 80% of it consisted of Wacker and Schaffner, who are the two kids.
Wacker and Schaffner.
Aimlessly walking around Czech forests in search for Aurora, the fabled last outpost of humanity that they don't really know anything about. He also criticized the addition of Cusack, noting that he only interacts with one character, as his performance was shot years after the majority of scenes were filmed. There's really like one piece of trivia about this film, and they flog it everywhere.
Wacker and Schaffner is like a comedy duo from the 40s.
I imagine it's like a Nickelodeon cartoon.
Oh,
from,
that's good too, yeah.
And here is a review, 10 out of 10, left by Ryan 39931057217.
A lot of Ryans.
10 out of 10 review called I understand that this movie is low budget, but hear me out.
Go ahead.
I get what everyone is saying. How can a movie like this exist? Why would they make it? Everyone looks too healthy, etc.
What?
There was this discourse on IMDb because the kids looked pretty remarkably healthy for how long they were trekking through the forest.
Oh, fuck off.
Yeah. I actually don't think they looked that healthy. Like a lot of the time, like, well, you know when you see a woman and she's like literally wearing like mascara and a bunch of makeup, like I don't think they put the girl in that much makeup.
They didn't.
Yeah, usually they do a bit more.
They don't look any more made up than in any other movie where we don't bother.
Criticizing that her hair managed to stay in place, so I don't know, dude. It's just a plot. She can just redo it.
A lot of people who don't understand how people and things work really love to comment when movies don't do what they think how things work.
Listen, if you like sci-fi movies that are very interesting and keep you around because you must see what happens next, then this movie is perfect for you. Yes, it is low budget, and the acting is not the absolute best, but look past all of that. This movie is so interesting, and I loved the ending. It really makes you root for the main characters to do whatever it takes to reach Aurora. And did I mention I loved the ending? I really felt like I was a part of the story.
What?
Movie snobs will never give this a chance. But if that is not you, then go for it. I'm very happy I did, and I hope they make a sequel. 10 out of 10.
Listeners, when Abby said, what was it? It really made me feel a part of the story. She looked at me with a look of desperation, just shook her head in confusion.
That was the bit that got me. Like, you loved the ending and made you feel part of the story.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Look, there weren't that many good reviews either, but here's another review left by Flatsy 00571. These names.
Flatsy.
It's called Terminator Salvation with Katniss Everdeen.
Oh.
You were fucking on the money. Terminator Salvation with Katniss Everdeen. It will pass 90 minutes on a rainy Sunday afternoon. Production quality is decent, but the story is a complete rip-off. Sorry, this is a 6 out of 10 review. What has happened to John Cusack's career? Really liked him as an actor, and he seems to have dropped straight to the DVD category. 6 out of 10. And here's the last review. It made me laugh so much because it's just unhinged. 5 out of 10 review left by Sarah JK 564. Fucking hell, I'm sick of these numbers. And it's called "Did Anyone Else Notice?" The review says, "Is it just me? Or is there extreme similarities between this and The Wizard of Oz? Right down to the Emerald City, Aurora, and the flying monkeys, drones." And that's it. Flying monkeys, drones.
Every time I see anything about a drone, I'm gonna be like, "Get your flying monkey out of here!"
Look, I mean, I didn't notice that. I'm just gonna say.
Well, because it has no other similarities. She doesn't come across it like, especially because you could argue, oh, she comes across a tin man. No, it's about him. He comes across not a tin man.
Yeah.
He comes across not a scarecrow, nor a cowardly lion. He comes across Katniss Everdeen.
The Wizard of Oz infamously follows a very classic set of tropes and plot structure. It's very easy to liken it to a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Did you notice that they left their ordinary world and woke up in a different new world? Did you notice that they pulled in an ensemble of help from really unlikely characters?
Did you notice there's a plot MacGuffin and things that fly? It makes you think. Makes you think.
Well, Michelle, that was Sarah JK 5 whatever the fuck review. Did you notice?
I didn't notice.
Well, what's your review?
Look, as I said, this movie made a bunch of interesting choices and then decided to be the least interesting movie possible outside of that. It is a Mad Lib sci-fi dystopia movie that, even if we go by 2013, not 2017, the original, is years too late to be a part of that genre effectively. Like, so late and unfashionable, you know? On top of that, its whole premise is like, what's the word? It's like centered on eco-fascism of like human beings are inherently the problems with climate, and like we can't support that. We had tens of thousands of years where we're perfectly capable of doing that. It's not human being, like it's capitalism and imperialism. Like we don't have to go every single human individual person is responsible for this when it's like a few companies that did it. So I don't know, 2.7. I don't think I can give it a 3.
I don't think I can either. Look, this was a grueling watch. Like, I was so tempted at various times. I'm so tempted to just like skip through like the really long, boring scenes. It's like maybe I can just, jump the next 30 seconds, but I didn't. But it was so hard.
I was really like, surely I don't have to watch all of this.
Especially all those scenes where she's kind of semi-crying in the forest, talking about, trying to find Aurora and having faith and believing. And
there's a lot of loose
family.
scenes in the woods.
It's a lot of loose scenes. Well, I agree. I'm going to give it 2.7. That's a good rating.
This movie is like Act 2A of an okay novel. But it's not a movie in and of itself.
Yeah. Well, hey, did you know we're on social media? Whoa. We have X.
Yeah.
Oh God, we're on X. I hate it.
Zeta us at X.
Zeta us at X.
Or X us at
on
X.
Rate Descend Pod, where we will X every new episode that comes out. Or you can find us on TikTok under Rating Descending, or you can email us at ratingdescending@gmail.com. It really makes it no, it doesn't make a difference. You can email us at ratingdescending@gmail.com.
It makes a difference to our lives.
Yeah,
we like it. We'll also be on YouTube soon. It takes a long time. We have a lot of episodes. That's a lot to encode. We have a lot on. It's hours and hours to encode.
Yeah.
But if you've already done that and you're like, where can I get more chuckles? Where can I get more updates? I think they're interesting people. Maybe I don't think they're interesting people, and I want to just know in what ways that manifests. Well, you can find us on our own social media. You can find me on X and Instagram at Michelle.St. Clair.
Or you can find me on Instagram under Abigail J.
Abby, you're not on X? You didn't get on, the most recognizable brand in the world and turn it into an uncopyrightable, untrademarkable letter. And not only a letter, but the porniest letter of all.
Yeah. With really shit logo design as well.
Worst,
the X looks terrible. It's just black and white.
Just the, what is it, unitype, unigraph.
Yeah.
It's just the fucking symbol for X. Like, it's not even a fancy way of doing it. It's also not even the first time he's done X.com. Oh, my God. Anyway.
Maybe it's really just called 10.
Oh, that would be something. I think after this, we're going to be pulled from X soon. Between us insulting and Elon and also me being trans, I think he's going to hate it.
But it'd be great publicity for us. Oh my God, Elon Musk hates our podcast.
We got cancelled by Musk. Well, you could also, if you loved that rant especially, you can give us a 5-star review or whatever review you want wherever you get your podcast. It really makes a difference.
Well, that was Singularity What are we watching next week, Michelle?
Oh, Abby, next week we're watching Escape Plan 2,
Yay!
Hades. We're returning. Sly's back.
Sly's back for his 5th appearance.
Woo, yeah, we'll get into it, but he's now fucking knocking
he
down
on top?
Andrew. Oh, well, Andrew, he's tied with Andrew Early, but of the competition between him and Chris McDonald
Chris McDonald's just
Dakota
on the
Johnson,
list,
it's now fucking Sly's back on top.
I can't believe Sylvester's... Okay, we'll talk about it next time. You'll have to be there.
Yeah, I guess you'll have to just
Guess
listen.
you'll have to join us. Uh-oh, spaghetti-o!
See you then.
Bye.